Hello, my film was Crazy Rich Asians. That is a 2018 film directed by John M. Chu. It is a comedy, drama, and romance film that was produced by Nina Jacobson, John Pinotti, and Brad Simpson. The film was inspired by the New York Times bestseller novel in 2013, Crazy Rich Asians. The author, Kevin Kwan, was also a writer for the film, and the novel is now part of a series. The film had a $30 million budget and grossed over $238 million worldwide. It starred Constance Wu, Henry Golding, Gemma Chan, Awkwafina, and Kim Jong. The film follows a Chinese American professor who travels to Singapore to meet her boyfriend's family and comes to discover that they're actually one of the wealthiest families in Singapore. I think that during the time that Crazy Rich Asians came out, a really good real world impact was that there was a short film called Bao. It's an 8-minute long film by Pixar that came out before Incredibles 2. It shows the nurturing relationship between a mother and her offspring, which it's an animated dumpling, and it shows authentic representation of the family for Western oriented viewers, which was actually very rare in 2018. I do believe that due to the extravagant nature of the film, it resembles The Great Gatsby, the 2013 film directed by Baz Luhrmann. Both films were adapted from novels that draw you in with the luxury, color, and over-exuberance. I believe both were also part satire, a critique of humans' desire. One thing that I really did notice about Crazy Rich Asians was the camera angles. There are low angles and there are high angles to give viewers the perspective of where characters stand with one another and how they see each other. So, for example, Rachel did seem to be less than and insignificant to them. So, in some camera angles, you can see how the young family towers over her. So, they are looking down on her. And in other angles, she is looking up to them, as in she feels smaller and less superior. Horizontal angles are used once Rachel does get confidence and she learns to stand up for herself. Mise en scène, of course, would have to be them traveling and just the overall scene of the film. You can see how her life is in New York City, and then you also see once they are in Singapore meeting his family, how the dressing changes, the costumes are different, lighting is different, everything is way more exuberant, way more colorful, and draws you in.
Can't let that techniques are blue and white is for Chinese funerals nowadays. This symbolizes good fortune and fertility. Great. I was really going for that lucky baby maker vibe.
Hey, you were the one who asked for my help picking out a dress to meet Nick's family.
It's only because I hardly know anything about them. Every time I bring them up, it changes the subject. Maybe he's embarrassed. Maybe his parents are poor and he has to send them money. That's what all good Chinese children do.
You are going to have a wonderful time.
You've always wanted to go to Asia, and who knows? If all goes well in Singapore, you might just come back with a souvenir.
Mom, stop. Nick and I haven't even talked about that.
I mean, his parents can't not like me, right? What was that look? I saw that.
Nothing. It's just Nick. Bringing a girl all the way there to meet them can mean a lot to these overseas families. They're different from us.
How are they different? They're Chinese. I'm Chinese. I'm so Chinese, I'm an economics professor with lactose intolerance.
Yeah, but you grew up here. 你看起来是华人，你讲的是中文，是这里，来这里。You're different. But wearing a lucky color will make a good first impression.
Oh, hi. I think I'm a little lost.
I'm afraid that I've been unfair.
Oh, no, you know what? I'm sorry I made an assumption. I didn't mean to offend you.
Not at all. You asked about my ring. The truth is, Nick's father had it made when he wanted to propose to me because Amma wouldn't give him the family ring. I wasn't her first choice. Honestly, I wasn't her second.
Gosh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
I didn't come from the right family, have the right connections, and Amma thought I would not make an adequate wife to her son.
But she came around, obviously.
It took many years, and she had good reason to be concerned, because I had no idea the work and the sacrifice it would take. There were many days when I wondered if I would ever measure up. But having been through it all, I know this much. You will never be enough. We should head back. I wouldn't want Nick to worry.
For what I really wanted to focus on, it was global minorities in the majority. So I really wanted to focus on what this movie would mean whenever you're looking at people in general. When we think of minorities, we seem to have allowed ourselves to think of them as less than, weak, simple minded, and struggling. We do not think of the history and the person or human we are referring to. The word itself is used to refer to a small number or part, a small group of people, but minorities are simply that in a foreign country, a part of. This film shows us that we only see a few Asian people in New York City, but when they travel back home, they are part of something much bigger than the USA. The Young family is from old money, and there is respect and prestige in their name and in their family history. I really enjoyed this movie because it's basically showing how Asian families and the Asian culture is very family oriented. Um, for Western cultures, it's way different than Eastern cultures. For some, you can see the different types of lifestyles, and basically everyone's, I guess, their way of seeing their life and their roles in their lives. So I also really enjoyed the movie because it does give viewers both culture perspectives, and it basically shows how people feel when they do come from two cultures. In this instance, Rachel was always either too Asian or too American, just depending on where she was. And it really does bring a lot of difficulty to growth development when you are trying to live up to certain expectations, but you're also trying to be your own individual person, and you feel like you have to conform to your culture's regular roles. So I think that was another reason that I really enjoyed it, just because I can see parallels within my own life. I also really appreciated it because it showed how in Singapore, Asian families do really follow tradition when it comes to carrying the generation of skills, beliefs, and practices